Okay, this video is about how to get your boyfriend back. I asked, it's a huge question, and I'm gonna be offensive, and I'm gonna give you the real meat of how to do that. Actually, someone asked me this, and I asked her, did you write a letter? Did you talk to him at work? Do you have friends in between? But she didn't answer. So without those details, I'm gonna address this. Just get to the meat of it, straight right to the point. All those good times, and you mentioned that everything was laughs and gaffs, and everything was, blissful, and then he broke up with you. Guess what? All those times which you see in this, in your perspective, according to him, they were different. He wasn't feeling the vibe that you have to understand. Guys, they try to mold a girl, right? Hey, I can fit her in a mini skirt. Hey, she's not down with that. I can really get her to do this. Hey, she's not into roller skating. We're gonna do that, and she's gonna show me her tight legs and body, and we're gonna have laughs. Guys are really they think people are malleable. Guys are into sculpture, and guys, really, grab a girl and try to shape her and do whatever to her. But he's past that point, and it's off the marker. So then, therefore, what you've presented to him is not within something he feels he could have still seen the possibility of shaping towards. So on that phrase, on that note, when you do re-extend yourself to him, don't call him out to a cafe and talk about your feelings, talk about how you really want him for like the next few hours, and let him listen to you, because that's really hard. Maybe he's on the verge, maybe he's trying to get his life together, maybe he's not the marrying type, maybe he sees you, he enjoyed everything with you, but he doesn't see you as the right one for him. Maybe you're the best girl he's ever had, but still, he's looking for that princess which he wants in his life. And the point is that when you get back to him, don't talk about your feelings. It's very obvious. You say, I asked you all these questions, and you say, I still feel I like him. No, duh. That's why you're asking me this question. I mean, I don't want you to do that to him. And you're gonna call him out, and it's gonna be excruciating for him if you're just gonna sit there and talk about your feelings. You have to be on the ball. And I'm spitting out these American idioms. If you're from China, from Taiwan, from Japan, what I'm trying to say is that you have to be active. You can't be rest and absorb its energy and say it's fun. That's not what you're trying to do now. You have to be active, and you have to pull out all stops and give him your A game. Now, those are a bunch of idioms. Again, I'll explain what they mean. Whether you were shy, whether you were hesitant, whether you think he really likes this, but I didn't really do it. You have to pull all those stops, and you have to give it your 100% and maybe more, because what you've given to him is not what was satisfying for him. And maybe you were giving him the shy nudge, you were giving him the pure type, or maybe you were giving him the nasty kinky stuff, or whatever. I'm not even talking sexuality here yet. I'm talking about your vibe. I'm talking about how you dress. I'm talking about how you exercise. I'm talking about how you eat. I'm talking about how you talk to him, how you express yourself. And these are all, important factors in a relationship. When he goes to bed at night and he closes his eyes, wow, he feels he's in a really fulfilling relationship. Sex is a really important part. Your vibe is a really important part. Your look, and when you close your eyes, your feeling is a really important part. And these are all things where you have to pull out all stops and extend your A game. And that's an idiom in English, which means that you have to give him your ace card. You have to, don't give him something you've been resting back and, you know, like, oh, you know, he likes me, so, you know, he enjoys being with me, and that's all I have to do. Guess what? That's not all you have to do. It's more, you know, it's energy. You're not there to absorb unless you're having sex. Maybe that's the way you want to do it. But in a relationship where you're active, he feels he's not being reciprocated in some way. And point one, again, to reiterate, is to say that, not to tell me your feelings, but to say that you've been holding back. To say that, well, I've been too shy around you. I want to show you the real me. Everything that which you've done, the times which you have been together. That's like really important to say that. And all the conversations you've been having, you know, you've been holding back, and now it's time to meet again and show them the real stuff. And guess what? You really have to do that. You have to show them your A game. And point number 3 is, I want you to listen to this. Like, you know, if there is anything, having a college degree is like a strike against a girl, you know, unless she's a conformist and unless she thinks that credentials are a substitute for knowledge and experience. Women really get pampered and get favored and get favors from teachers, from your loving parents, mom and dad, who saves up money for their precious little daughter. Guys get a little bit more rough treatment from day one. And even, let's say you are the pretty boy who's aiming for Prague, Milan as a male model. Let's see how this works in society. Even in society, men aren't groomed to appreciate these factors. So even though you may have your say in the matter, you know, you're a pro for women's rights, all that kind of good stuff for you, I'm just telling you that these thoughts exist, you know? And I'm not saying that they are mine, and I'm not saying that they aren't mine. Maybe I do share these thoughts. The point is that you have to shift out of your perspective and think from his perspective, you know, from men or from women, from people. I feel I can read. I don't know if you can read, but people make their judgments and decisions based on like 3 or 4 or 5 really deep secrets. People talk about their feelings, about trends, about movies, about all that kind of stuff, but people don't talk about their decisions and the basis of their decisions, their ethics, their moral. Is that everything you thought you were doing, which is right, guess what? You were off. And in re-extending yourself to try to get that guy back, guess what? You'll have another chance to give another try, a different card, preferably this time your A card. And when you present it to him and say that it's never been presented before, don't sit there and just talk about your feelings, how you want him back. You're just telling me, oh, I still like him. Guess what? It's not important. And guess what? He knows that when you're trying to get back with him. And there are some guys who believe even this, you know, like women, they claim they want equal rights, but do they really want the equal responsibilities? Do they really demand respect based on merit? You know, most girls and their so-called achievements, the ones they take real pride in, are complete jokes. Why is that? Well, you have a master's degree. What is it? In puppetry? I mean, let's see if that teacher is there, and if I raise my hand, he raises his hand, he tries to show extra effort versus a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed, tight-fitting, blonde, you know, hot-bodied girl. The response is completely different, alright? Now, I'm not saying it's fair, I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm not talking about, I'm good at physics, I'm good at math, I can talk about reality and physics, the real reality. But guess what? There's a reality of fake bullshit society. And then now there's a reality of his experiences. It's something that you don't know about. And guess what? You're gonna have to try to guess about where he's making those decisions from, what he's trying to feel, what he's extending and preparing, all those efforts he's been making since, you know, going to school, or during his free time, or during, you know, putting his effort into. What is he trying to build? He's trying to build himself up towards this master goal of a beautiful, fulfilling relationship, right? And you're gonna have to guess at what that is, or at least try to envision. Now, I'm not talking about real metaphysical reality based on physics. I'm talking about something that's fake and it doesn't really exist, which is only in his mind. And to know that these types of values exist, and they're not even rare, just purely based on non-schooling. If someone was raised and grew up, these feelings are going to come by or cross his mind. Only through education, through lessons in tolerance, will that person begin to change his perspective, you know, and focus on a wider picture. Or, you know, unless he's like a real John Lennon fan, those things, you have to understand these types of thoughts. So point one, again, reiterate that your past dates were not the real you. You were too shy. You were holding back. You were putting in stops. And point number two is you're gonna have to pull out your A game for him. You know, in kissing, in sex, in emotional appeal, in exercise, in communication, in cooking, whatever is important to that person. In re-extending to him, guess what? You're gonna have to pull out your A game and put effort, because obviously he doesn't feel it's reciprocated. And three, you have to change your perspective. You have to envision what is not what he's saying. Even though you're like a perfect listener, a perfect note taker, you get like straight A's in college, and you have like a master's degree in like computer science. No, I'm talking about something completely different. You have to envision what those ethics and morals and core beliefs within that person in which he's making his decision.